Welcome, one and all, to another episode of A Dangerous Podcast, the most dangerous podcast on this or any other internet. I'm your host, Ian Alley Seals, here with my fearless co-host compatriots. Sound off, everybody.
I'm John.
I'm Jason.
I'm Jules.
Candy Ray here.
We just rehearsed doing this. Be seamless. But every week, it's like we're doing it from the start. And that's one of the things that I love about A Dangerous Podcast. Everyone can kind of be teleported back to like 2003 when people were doing this for the first time, and we're like, well, how does a computer microphone work? That's kind of where we are. But
Ian, all of us weren't raised in a radio station like you were from a young age. And
cultivated European
our broadcasting skills and so forth, but we didn't have the advantage of that upbringing.
Yeah, all of our dads weren't Dr. Johnny Fever.
But weren't they? But here we are. First of all, can we all give a round of applause to John Carrier right now? Everybody, give him a round of applause. That was so weak. Ray just wouldn't even acknowledge that right there. Because we sound and look a modicum better, and that's because of a lot of digital and technical work that John's been doing all week. Thank you, John.
But mostly I want to thank Johnny Ganache from Pina Comics, who showed me how to not come out shitty.
You mean a real podcast?
So figure this. I went to a real podcast, and I say, hey, your podcast looks great. Mine looks like shit. How do you do that? And he was nice enough to tell me. And here we are. Like, people can see us. Hopefully, like, this episode won't be spliced in like 5 times and won't abruptly get cut off. We got a message from one of our listeners about how it abruptly got cut off on the third. The message was exactly, I enjoyed your first 2, and first 2 is underlined, episodes. However, the third was cut off abruptly at the end. Don't worry, because I used my imagination and wit to fill in the blanks, and it was really funny.
Well, yes, we've upped our game to kind of the bare minimum of normal podcasts.
And on that note, I want to make an announcement. None of you guys know about this, but I've been looking at the analytics, and 3% of our viewership is from none other than the great country of Japan. 3% viewership.
We're international. International.
We're big in Japan.
Yeah. Konnichiwa to our Japanese listeners. And 1% in Deutschland.
How do you know those weren't just bots?
Hey, you know what? Shut up. That's how I know.
Jason, because
bots don't listen to podcasts. Don't you know anything?
If we really thought about that, then we would realize that no one is listening to this show. And that it's all just artificial intelligence trying to get us to buy products. So I choose to live in the world where human beings are listening to this, the greatest podcast on the internet. So welcome. So if you are just tuning in, we are A Dangerous Podcast, where we explore and talk about movies that the rest of the world forgot and most likely was happy to forget. And first of all, I'm going to open this up to the group. How was your week, everybody? We were gonna over here in Connecticut. Oh, did I just? No, now the FBI is gonna find.
Now they're gonna figure out who Jules really is. All they had was his face, and likeness, and first name.
I don't know where.
How they're gonna put all the pieces together.
I don't know where all of you are in the Northeast, but where I am, it was supposed to be a snowpocalypse today, and it really wasn't. But we've been getting hammered by weather. How are you all holding up?
We've been getting hammered too.
A different hammered, but what?
It's been snowy, but not as bad as they made it sound like it would be today.
It is true. This was relatively underwhelming. I'd heard it was going to start snowing at 5. I looked out the window. It was nice and clear, and it was pretty much nice and clear all day. So,
I mean, I have a Subaru, and I lived in New Hampshire for a couple of years, and it's not like I'm not a my home state is Connecticut. I love Connecticut, but I think we got to just remember when we were children, before global warming, when we used to actually get snow.
We've gotten a fair amount of snow in the last 2 weeks, but whenever I ask Ray how she's doing, and she brings up her Subaru, I'm always imagining her in like this Mad Max vehicle, just like off-roading in snow and fighting mutants and so forth like that. And that's pretty much your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of internet dates.
Oh.
So I wanted to talk about Ray for a little bit because she's going on a date this weekend, and this might be her last show.
Stop.
If she gets murdered, I don't see how she could do any more shows.
Don't joke about that, John. Don't joke. Like Ray
I'm just looking out for her. I'm just
My ghost will
not a
haunt
concern.
you in your dreams.
I know it will.
And you'll have to do my
Just like on Trolls 2, you'll be like the grandpa.
Yes, I'll be showing up at a
Still
mirror.
looking for the layout of the house.
And then you'll just have a bunch of green goodies all over your kitchen.
All right, we're going into a wrong movie that we never even.
I don't know. Whoever
Can't do Troll 2 yet.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. And I'm excited because this is Ray's night to choose. Every night a different host.
It's ladies' night.
And the feeling's right.
Oh, what night?
Oh, what a night.
Yeah.
But every week we all kind of choose the movie that's going to be next week, and we all have a different sensibility and we bring different things. But there are certain movies that we do not and probably will never talk about on this podcast. One of them, again, Pito, if you're watching, is Manos: The Hands of Fate. We are not going to watch Manos: The Hands of Fate
covered
because it's exactly, Jason. It has been covered, and Troll 2 is one of those. I'm going to make a slight blanket rule, and that rule is if there is a documentary made about this movie, we should probably steer clear of it.
Is there a documentary made out of Manos?
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, there are fan documentaries, and there are like 3 fan-made sequels. Like, Jules, we watched one of them, right? We watched
one of them. Yeah.
That one was hard to sit through. And that is what completely brings me to the point, and I've made it a few times, about glorifying bad movies. And you fall into that syndrome of it becomes like a club to watch and like these movies. And then you start to lose perspective and you think they're actually good. That has absolutely happened with Manos: The Hands of Fate. I've met people like at San Diego Comic-Con who take it way too far, and they've totally lost perspective. We in this room, I hope none of us will fall into the camp that Neil Breen is actually good. In that Dead Weekend,
we're gonna fight. I'm gonna fight you.
Oh no! Okay.
What
Listen, Mister, I want to sit through boring sci-fi all day.
Mister is going to put a pox on Jules's house for bringing us Dead Weekend. Is about to defend Neil Breen, the director of last week's Fateful Findings. Go for it, John.
I not only liked Fateful Findings, I can't even tell you how much I liked Fateful Findings. That is really what we should. I like bad movies when they're like this. It was entertaining to like watch this guy attempt to do something. That's exactly what we should be doing. Now, here's the difference is, we were talking about the movie before that I wanted to punish Jules with, the Kirk Cameron movie. It's 90 minutes. What I could have done is I could have made him watch the movie The Bible, which is like 6 hours long.
No, The Bible's a good movie. John Huston. I like that movie.
The 6 hour, is that the 6 hour version?
Not 6 hours. It's long.
No. So this one is like 6 hours. It was like
what I love. I'm glad you bring that up.
Might even be longer.
My favorite thing about that movie is the title is John Huston's The Bible. That is the biggest, and John Huston is the voice of God in the movie The Bible. So, if we're talking acts of hubris and vanity, we talked about Neil Breen's vanity. It's not the Bible the movie. It's John Huston's Bible the movie.
We're getting off track here. But
We are.
anyways, my point
We are.
is there are good, enjoyable, bad movies. Troll 2, I love so much. I can watch it 50 times.
Oh, I agree
No.
with you on Troll 2. Troll 2 is absolutely watchable.
So what's the difference between Troll 2 and Fateful Findings?
Fateful Findings is obnoxious, and it's boring as hell. Oh,
But is it not funny in the same way? It's like you're watching a train wreck and you're just kind of
all
like,
right. I'm going to show you.
The Fateful Findings, I felt like I was being dragged through it.
Yeah, like when you're talking something like Troll 2, and now we're talking about Troll 2, apparently. For those of you who are not familiar with Troll 2, unlike a Neil Breen film, I would say actually go see it. So, because Troll 2 is an interesting artifact. Like, what's the deal? It was an Italian filmmaker who didn't speak English in the US trying to... So you've got all this weird cross-cultural things happening. I think most of the actors couldn't speak English. It is this hot, and it is surreal. I find that movie interesting to watch, the same as you. With Neil Breen, there's like no soul to this movie. It's just this exercise in narcissism and incompetence.
it's all of those things, but there's sort of I mean, I guess, we could talk about this for a whole episode, but there's just something endearing about watching somebody put so much into it and just, not having the self-awareness of what a train wreck he's building. I mean, I don't know if you were getting that, but like, to me, it was like this sort of like amazing Eiffel Tower he's creating out of garbage, and or just watching it being built, and like I don't know. It was very entertaining. That's the thing. It was so entertaining. I was laughing more at this than some of the best comedies I've seen.
I think that it definitely Neil Breen was funnier than just about anything we've seen on this podcast
right.
at all.
Yeah,
and
no,
that
I was giggling uncontrollably through the whole watching.
Doesn't that count for? I know. Okay, it's not. I mean, your IQ hasn't gone up. Your IQ hasn't gone up by the end of the movie. I get that, but
okay.
I mean, come on.
You know what? We've spoken enough about that movie. Let's move on to the movie we're about to review.
Yes.
Before we talk about the film, Ray, you're the voice of reason. So before we talk about the movie at hand, which was Jason's pick for this week, let's have a little bit of tradition. We were brought to this podcast by a very talented individual. And that individual is Mr. Lou Diamond Phillips. Lou Diamond Phillips wrote, directed, starred in, and produced the Showtime original film, Dangerous Touch, erotic thriller. Horrible movie. It's what brought us here. And to honor that, every week we come together and speak some truth, unless you're John, who lies, speak some truth about our patron saint, Lou Diamond Phillips. I know we've all done the work. I know we're ready to go. John, what can you tell us about Lou Diamond Phillips?
I learned that Lou Diamond Phillips is a mammal.
Yes,
seriously, there's nothing else left of this guy, really.
We barely scratched the surface, John. Barely scratched the surface.
Unless somebody springs the $10,000 a year for me to get LexisNexis access to like dig through legal records and everything that's ever been published. There are no more Lou Diamond Phillips.
No, unless I get his access to his.
You're lazy, and this is what brought us down. This is what brought us down after Rollerball.
Maybe there's just not 20 exciting facts about this guy. There isn't. I think we've exhausted it. I don't think Lou Diamond Phillips could come up with five every week.
All right. Apparently, Jules and John did.
I mean,
nothing.
He's not fucking George Washington. I mean, he's just.
He's a man who's lived. Who has film upwards in the 80s. Jason, what do you have for us?
Lou Diamond Phillips has 5 cats, and he tweets about them.
See? you know what? I'm going to choose to believe Jason about that.
I couldn't hate him anymore. I mean, now he's a cat guy. Now we find out he's a fucking cat guy.
Oh.
5 cats? 5? That's excessive.
I'm not even kidding.
That's excessive. That's crazy. Now he's like a crazy cat lady.
Lou Diamond 5 right there. Ray, what do you have for us?
Well, I follow one of Lou Diamond Phillips' daughters on the Instagram, and it's Isabel Phillips.
She hasn't followed you back yet?
Not yet.
She didn't follow you back? Okay.
Give it some time.
I'm just saying.
She's vegan. She inspired me to start selling, handmade thrifty clothes on this like app I hadn't heard of, Dbop. And she has been in 3 different movies. Maybe they could be featured on our show. One of them is The Birthday Cake 2020, To Dust 2018, and Being Frank 2018.
Okay. See, right here, the progeny of Lou Diamond Phillips has actually affected
Ludovine agrees.
Ray's life. She's going on and selling thrift store merchandise. She's getting in the business because of
with Isabel Phillips. I mean, first it was Poshmark, now it's Dbop. I had no idea.
Do you know what Lou Diamond Phillips' cat's name? I bet he names his cats like Lou Diamond Mittens and like Lou Diamond Lou Diamond Buttons.
John, you have
Lou Diamond Whiskers.
You have accused me of falling in love with Lou Diamond Phillips about every podcast, and I've never denied it. And if he's naming his cat things like this, it
all the more power to him, right?
It seals the deal. It seals the deal. All right, so I'm actually going to take a page from Jules for a second. I do have trivia, but it is not exactly about Lou Diamond Phillips, but it is about our patron film, Dangerous Touch. And this isn't exactly trivia, but it was just kind of an epiphany. And Jules, you can back me up here. So a few days ago, I was driving home from work, and I called Jules in a rush. And I was just like, Jules, oh my God, I just figured it out. And you were like, what? I said, the lead actress in Dangerous Touch, the actress who played Amanda Grace, sex therapist, falls in love with Lou Diamond Phillips' con artist villain, played Ellen Ty, a character in the 2000s remake of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh,
none of this is shocking you guys. Like,
wow,
I'm such a nerd.
That show.
Girl Tie is how I drink all my alcohol.
No, when we when we were watched it, I'm like, oh, it's Ellen Ty. Wow.
I totally forgot this. I mean, I'd watch. What shows me is like, God, I do love Lou Diamond Phillips, but when I was watching Dangerous Touch, it's like she's so bad in this, but then I look at that. I mean, she is a great actress. Yeah,
and we have a Dangerous Touch to blame for the fact that her career just didn't do anything, and then she just wound up on Battlestar Galactica, and that was about it, I guess. I mean,
no, that's not true. Look at her IMDb page. She works all the time. And so to Kate Vernon, if you're listening to this podcast, and I know you are, we was only fooling. Come on. It's nothing personal.
We welcome you on the podcast too. We can't pay you.
But. Yeah, I'm defending Kate Vernon, but I'm blaming Dangerous Touch for adversely affecting her career. Is what I'm saying. That to be precise here.
I hope you forgive.
I'm saying people saw that and said, you know what? I'm not saying she didn't work, but
being typecast is a serious issue with actors and actresses.
Mm-hmm. But Kate pulled it off because Ellen Ty is absolutely nothing like Amanda Grace. So if you're a Battlestar Galactica fan, maybe you should go back and check out Dangerous Touch, available on Amazon Prime. and
maybe it'll ruin your career too.
And that segues me and all of us to the topic tonight, which is Mystery Date. Jason, you brought us Mystery Date. Why did you bring this film to us?
Just another one of those stupid things I remember from TV back when I in my youth.
Yep.
I'm noticing a theme
That
with you.
movie
Yeah.
was on like Showtime or HBO or something like over and over again back then. Like I don't know why.
Yeah. So
And you made it a point we all had to watch it again.
Yep.
Yeah. And the point that I'm making right now is that we were able to watch Dangerous Touch on Amazon Prime. Now, I think most people here pirated it or watched it on YouTube or something. I bought it. I gave my money to Lou Diamond.
Where? I couldn't even find out where it
it's
was.
on Amazon Prime.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
It is. But you know what's not on Amazon Prime is Mystery Date. You know where
that's what's insane.
Mystery Date was
completely
you know
insane.
where Mystery Date isn't? Anywhere. You can't
If it's not on Amazon Prime,
it's
you're
not
gonna have
on
a hard time
Amazon
finding
Prime, it's not on HBO, it's not on Hulu. You cannot watch this movie.
it.
How did I torrent? How did I torrent a
I don't know where you got
1080p
Like-
transfer of it? I mean, it looked
You got a
gorgeous. I don't
1080p.
understand. Yeah, I would like.
Higher
Where
def
did
that
it?
came out in.
They spent all the money to do that, and then just decided, you know what, we're not going to bother selling it, even though it costs us nothing.
I don't know.
And
Ethan Hawke paid for it.
I definitely remember seeing this movie as a little girl and being very upset when he starts going through that girl's garbage.
Ray, let's
Oh,
not
We're
jump.
getting there.
Slow down, right?
No, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But one of the things I want to point when Jules was promoting this film, I forget the quote that you kind of. I thought it was a perfect quote. It was like, "What did you write about like the effect of this movie?" Where
I said the opposite of the Mandela Effect is a movie that nobody, how does the Mandela
Oh, Jesus.
effect? It was a very high concept. Give me a second to get
It was.
back to that
No, I
concept.
thought it was pretty whimsical.
A movie that actually exists and no one can remember.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
essentially it. So essentially, because people like to talk about what is the movie Shazam or something, they remember a movie called Shazam with somebody in it, and it doesn't exist. And everybody's like, I thought that movie existed, and they're like, whoa, it's the Mandela Effect. It's a weird parallel universe thing or whatever. So this is the complete opposite because it's nobody remembers it, but it does exist.
But not only does nobody remember it, other than Jason, we all
And Ray, apparently. And Ray.
It was triggering some childhood trauma for me. Yeah.
and I would go on maybe Super Mario Brothers, but this is about the highest profile film we've done so far.
Highest profile?
It's got the highest paid actors in it. It is
Super Mario Brothers obviously cost like $200 million or something. I mean,
I looked on this one. The budget for Mystery Date was $10 million.
there you go. Yeah. So
That
this
was
is
$10
not
million in the garbage.
Right.
Yeah, this is a big Hollywood movie. It was a romantic comedy Hollywood film, and nobody remembers it. I didn't remember it, and I can tell you, I've seen it more than once. I rented it on VHS. I probably watched it 3 times in a weekend. I know that because as the movie was progressing, I could quote the dialogue with it, and I remembered nothing about this movie. I remembered nothing, and while I don't remember it, you also can't get it anywhere. There's nowhere for this movie to make money. So
3 out of 5
movie's
of us.
not going to make money.
3 out of 5 of us remember it then,
Yes.
because I kind of feel like that 1991 would be my peak movie awareness,
Yeah.
for lack of anything else to do, and I don't remember it at all. I don't even remember. I feel like I remember every movie that came out of that time. So 3 out of 5 have seen it.
You very well may not have seen it, but I'm surprised. Now, I'm going to ask a question of the group right now. And I want honesty here. Is there anyone here who hated this movie?
Yeah, me.
John, okay.
Yep.
I think you're a liar. But
No, I'm not a liar.
okay.
I mean, not
John,
on this.
John hates this movie. Anybody else?
I 2/3 hated the movie.
Okay, you 2/3. Is there anyone who loved this movie?
Other than you.
No. Okay, Ray loves the movie.
Wow.
This doesn't give me a lot of hope for her selection.
Okay, I'm gonna posit something about this movie. This is how I feel. that, and I know we normally do this at the end, but I kind of want to start this. This is my thesis statement. The biggest crime of Mystery Date is that it is utterly forgettable. It is just a snooze. It doesn't make, there's no crimes in it. It's not, it doesn't, I mean, okay, it is very insulting in a few places, but it's a fine movie. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with it. And that's its biggest crime, is that it is just a dull movie. And it shouldn't be. It should at least be fun, and I don't think it's fun. John, you'll disagree with me, and I'm happy to hear that. And I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this. Our format is I am going to go through the plot of this movie. I'll throw in a few of my comments as I go, but I'm
going to cut them off.
Okay. Well, I just accept this. So here we are with Mystery Date. Now, first of all, okay, I'm sorry. The second biggest crime of this movie is the premise. And the premise is that star Ethan Hawke is a forgettable loser. All right? Like that's the character. Ethan Hawke is this nerdy, shy, can never get the girl if he really tries. He's witty and he's funny, but he is just he's a nerd.
He didn't establish that, other than perhaps the gigantic poster of Elvis Costello on his wall, which makes him out to be, probably insufferable. But I mean, we have no indication of that outside of that one particular prop.
Doesn't his room just kind of look like Ferris Bueller's room light?
I don't remember Ferris Bueller's room.
Ferris Bueller, like the set design in John Hughes' Ferris Bueller's Day Off, in his bedroom is fantastic. Like where he has Elvis Costello, the Ferris Bueller has Morrissey. And
yeah, I feel like he wasn't like a nerd, and I think with the clothes and the hair, they made him look 1991 cool, but he was just a loser in the way he carried himself, the way he is as a person.
Yeah, what they're trying to tell us is that Ethan Hawke is this guy who women are so out of his league. Like he's in love with this woman. There's no way she would ever go for him. And he's Ethan Hawke. Like he's Dreamboat Ethan Hawke.
And you skip ahead for a second, which is out of format, but I'm going to do it anyway. When she answers the door, he doesn't actually like stumble at all. He's just doing, he's just kind of funny and weird. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not even like he doesn't do like stammering. Oh, he's not like looking at his shoes or doing something like completely out. It works fine.
Yeah.
So
here's where. Sorry, everybody. I'm not doing my job. Here's the way the movie goes.
Yes.
Ethan Hawke is dreamily doing a voiceover. He is on the beach, lying in the sand, and he looks gorgeous. Like he looks like a Calvin Klein model right here. Like I'm drinking him, and he's like, "Oh, I saw her again. She's the most beautiful woman in the world. I just want to see her and connect with her, and we're gonna lock eyes, and we're gonna fall in love." And he looks over at his dream girl, who is Terry Polo. Cards on the table right now. I have a schoolboy crush on Terry Polo. Always have.
How do you know? Who do you know who Terry Polo is?
Probably started with this movie. Listen, Terry Polo is
okay. Okay.
So I really like Terry Polo. She's a good actress, and she's devastatingly gorgeous. So he's looking over, and it's this beautiful shot, and she's there, and he's waxing, and he's waxing poetic about the life they're going to have together, and he's having a conversation with somebody else. He's having a conversation, and then it gets interrupted by these kids put these sandcastles between them. All right, you realize they're not on a date. There's no connection. This is just him. He's there. He's looking at her. Okay. All right. Ends the sequence. We then cut to this scene that's so aping The Graduate. It's like Ethan Hawke is like high school graduation party with a bunch of people, and
Wait,
and
for the dog.
Oh, and there's a dog. Yeah.
No, it was a party for the dog.
It was a
It was
party
not
for
his-
the dog?
Yes, because he got accepted to the fancy dog show in Connecticut.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So yeah, so you're at Ethan Hawke's. His name is Tom. We're at
Let's
Tom.
not worry about it and just call him Ethan Hawke.
All right, we're at Ethan Hawke's house, and there's a big party. And it's
Tom is
just-
a fine name.
Tom is a fine name, and it's a scene. It's completely modeled after The Graduate. So you've got these older people talking to Ethan Hawke, and saying, "Well, you just graduated high school. What are you doing with your life?" And he makes snarky comments back and forth, and they're trying to be witty, and they're not. Like, what's one comment like? Someone makes. They're like,
He's like, I heard you're going to Harvard for business. He's like, yeah, or maybe I'll join the Merchant Marines. I'm not sure yet.
"Oh, Ethan Hawke, you don't know what he's gonna say." And it's grown worthy. And also I like Ethan Hawke. Like, there's nobody in this movie I don't like.
There's nobody in
And-
the world you don't like.
That's not true.
You're a very likable
I'll
person,
stop.
and you like a lot of people.
So Ethan Hawke is good. Ethan Hawke is good. Like, if you want to go, I'll tell you a movie that's a lot better, that he does a lot better in, is a movie that Jules, you and I, we watched like every Saturday when we were kids, is The Explorers. Ethan Hawke. He's like 11 years old.
Yep.
Science
That's-
fiction film.
Mhm.
Ethan Hawke at 11 years old in this quirky proto Stranger Things movie is 7 times more interesting than anything that happens in this movie right now. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So you have the scene and you're setting up, and then as Jules pointed out, it's not a graduation party for him. It's for their schnauzer, their dog, and then you realize there's memorabilia to this dog all over the house, and they're like, well, he got accepted into the Westminster Dog Show or something, and give a round of applause. And so everybody gives a round of applause, and then you set up the premise for the film. The premise is his parents are going to be taking the dog to Connecticut for the dog show, and so he has to take care of the house. They give him. Yeah.
I just want to say that's pretty stereotypical how they pick Connecticut for that. But go on.
Yeah,
We're always like
it's racist.
We're always
Yeah,
like
it's
the
racist.
little pinkies in our air, snooty little state.
It's like,
That's-
yeah, we're going to a dog show in Connecticut.
Speaking of that, John, when are you entering your litter of puppies into the Connecticut dog
Yeah,
show?
you have a dog, a beautiful poodle named Ludovine,
Mhm.
Mr. Connecticut.
No, they are all upstairs sleeping, and they're just a bundle of joy. I love them so much. If I wasn't getting $1,000 each for them, I'd keep them all. But
If you would like to purchase a show quality dog for the Connecticut Dog Show,
right, right.
our host John
Hit
Kerr.
me up. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
Technically, they don't make the AKC
We're
standard.
glad we turned this into a commercial for my puppies.
These are designer dogs. They're golden doodles. They're not purebreds.
Oh, Ray, you just killed it right there.
Sorry, I'm just being real.
Okay.
They're
So
golden. They're pure breed golden doodles.
Yes, they're hyperallergenic. They make fine family friends, but don't think you're gonna.
I'm gonna train them all to bite Ray.
All right, we're getting back to this. We're getting back, everybody. So they give Ethan. So the parents give Ethan Hawke a set of instructions to do while he's home, and they're like, "By the way, there's a case of beer downstairs. Don't you touch it." All right, fine. And I immediately dislike Ethan Hawke when he's upstairs in his proto Ferris Bueller's bedroom, reading the list of chores, and they are completely reasonable. They're
Yeah,
like,
they were not.
They were very reasonable.
this. Could you do the dishes and mow the lawn? And he's like, F that, and throw like, they have not set these people up as monsters so far.
But it is a rare exhibition of character on his part that will not reemerge.
But we do have a exhibition of character right now about to show up, and it is not favorable. Ethan Hawke goes to his telescope and he looks through, and what does he see? His neighbor, Terry Polo, in like clingy workout gear, sitting reading a novel, and he proceeds to spy on her. Read what she's
Now, is
reading.
this You were the one that brought up Explorers, and so this is the second time Ethan Hawke has used technology to spy on the hot neighbor girl. Although in Explorers, it's a alien technology bubble that he uses to spy.
Oh,
on
that's
her.
right. Doesn't he like peeping Tom outside of her window? Or
Yeah, he
something?
does. Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
I'm just saying, it's a pattern. It's a pattern.
Man, Ethan Hawke, you got to read those scripts better. So anyway, so that's what he's doing. And it doesn't stop there. He's like, I need to learn more about her. I need to know. And he does what any apparent love-strict man in the 1990s will do. At night, he goes to her house.
Before Facebook.
Yep. He goes and he steals her trash. I want to make a point of this right now. This is in no way set up as creepy. It's not. It is set up as losery. Like, I think that
His brother is the one who suggests it.
No, the brother.
No, his brother is just like, or maybe he did before.
No, he was the one
Did
that
he?
said we should look through her trash.
But he had already stolen the trash. He had already stolen the trash for no reason.
Like he went on his own after like following her to the beach and then watching her through the telescope was like, you know what? I'm going for the trash now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is what's going on with this movie is like 90% of the details have like not been thought out at all.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, it's better than stealing her lingerie or underwear or whatever.
Yeah. And so Ethan Hawke goes and steals the trash, and it's set up as just this wacky scene. He's out there. He's like, ooh, can't make a sound. He's hearing her on the phone, and then he kicks some trash cans. He kicks some trash cans and stuff like that, and they clatter all about. And I get the feeling that if someone looked out and saw him, it wouldn't be framed as creepy. It would be framed as wacky. Be like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, sorry. Like, it's so of its time. And what I think is kind of weird, and I don't know if any of you guys thought about this, I was thinking of myself watching this movie as a kid, and I probably didn't think anything was weird either. I probably thought that it was like just kind of wacky romantic comedy.
Yeah, he's definitely like crossing some boundaries. Like I remember being a little girl watching this, and it sets a really bad precedent. It's like it's a total stalker vibe. It's like, all right, like rather than just like coming up to talk to this girl in a nice way, like, hey neighbor, I've seen you around, like and getting to know her in the old fashioned way. He's going through her garbage with his brother's not very much pushing, I guess.
And also spying on her and following her.
Yeah, with a telescope. Yeah.
And I just kind of think that if you look back at romantic comedies of the era, that like that's going to be pretty standard. You're going to find all of that, and that's disturbing. But we're going to move on. So he steals her trash, and he starts going through it, but he kind of stops. So
but does he go through it then?
That's not important at that point. You're right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, so we move on to the next day. His parents are gone, and then his elder brother shows up, and I think we've established in the opening graduate scene that like his older brother is a lawyer and he's really cool, and you've got a lot to live up to, Ethan Hawke right there. So his brother shows up and he rolls up in this beautiful 1959 DeSoto. Gorgeous car.
And I point out that all over the movies we've been watching have like pretty much 90% of them have an old 50s convertible in them.
They do. And
featuring prominently, like not like just like, oh, it drove by. Like, no, it's a big part of the movie.
Yeah, didn't we figure out that like the same car was essentially being used in Dangerous Touch as it was in Amanda and the Alien? I still think it's the same car.
Yes, let's just accept that as fact. We'll put that on IMDb because those are user added facts. So we'll just put that. It'd be like the car and the Dangerous Touch is the same one in Amanda and the Alien, and nobody will know.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to point out, and we're going to geek out about this. Cards on the table, everybody. Most of us here are working on an action adventure car film. So we work with a lot of cars. And this DeSoto is they want it to be a character in the movie, first of all. I'm going to describe it. You can look it up. But it's this large boat car. It's powder blue and white, leather interior. It's a classic. It looks amazing. And immediately Ethan Hawke's like, wow, where did this car come from? Where didn't you just fly in from LA? How did you fly in from California with the car? He's like, oh, I picked my friend was borrowing it. I got the car. And they talk about the car ad nauseum. He talks about how the transmission is going a little bit and it's a push button transmission and there's no park setting there. You have to use a parking brake to park it. Ethan Hawke says, he says, hey, you want to take it for a spin, Ethan Hawke? Ethan Hawke, his brother's like, yeah, please let me. No. All right. We set up that his brother Craig is kind of an asshole here. But he's like, but you can drive it into the garage. And he starts pulling it into the garage. I'm going to talk about this right now because I don't want to keep going on about it. I think it's the wrong car for this film. I like the 1959 DeSoto. I don't think it's the right car for this movie.
What would you have gone with?
I'll tell you in a second. Never mind. I will answer this right now. And John, I believe you have the graphic. I think this film would have been better served by the 1960s. It's not the 1960 Corvette convertible. John, can we throw up a picture of that right now?
You'll have to give me a second.
And while you're doing that, I'm just all right. First, the DeSoto is huge. It is this giant boat of a car. And I think every time Ethan Hawke drives this car, you think he's going to hit something. You know, it's just pulling into the garage. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? It is. I don't think for some reason, I think the car is too big. It doesn't fit Craig's character all that much. I think if they had a car that was a little bit smaller, a little bit almost flashier, that it would have served. So what did you guys all think of the DeSoto? And I know we're talking about this car, but they want this car to be a character in the movie. And I really didn't think it was. What do you guys think? What did you think of the DeSoto? Oh, and here's the Corvette.
Yeah.
I think that this would have worked better.
There's not enough room in the trunk for two people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well,
They need a car that's, got enough extra room for a couple accidents.
I'm getting ahead of things, but I don't know. Maybe that's why they probably couldn't afford that either. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to love this car, and I just kind of didn't think it fit. I didn't think it fit with the style of the film. You guys watch the movie? Well, no, you can't because you can't find this movie anywhere. But be the judge. I like the 1959 DeSoto. I don't think it worked for this film. Okay, moving on. So, at this point, you have some bonding between Craig and Ethan Hawke, or bonding between Craig and Tom. Tom goes in. He's like, "Hey, where's Dad's beer?" He's like, "Oh, the beer's in the basement. You shouldn't drink it." Blame it on me. All right, and they're hanging out, and that's when they start talking about the neighbor, and they don't know the name of the neighbor yet. And Ethan Hawke, and so Craig is asking, "Well, tell me about this girl." Well, what do I?
He sees this telescope in his room.
Oh, that's right.
What are you checking out with this telescope, buddy?
He's like, did you inadvertently find anything interesting?
Yeah, that's right. He's like, have you been finding anything interesting with my telescope? He looks through the telescope, and then he says, Tom, you put this telescope here to look at a beautiful woman. What are you waiting for? Go get her. And so then you have this scenario where Tom is trying to push him to contact Terry Polo. And he's like, well, what do you know about this girl? He's like, I don't know much. I know she reads mystery novels because I've been spying on her and am creepy. He didn't say that, but he says that. And then Craig says, well, you've got her trash, don't you? And I think that's even creepier than Craig telling him to do it, because that implies that that's obviously what any man would do. It's like, well, obviously you got her trash, didn't you? And they go through the trash, and then he makes some jokes. Oh, there's a lot of grapefruit rinds here, some stuff. Does she ever eat any food? And then they find some receipt from Nordstrom's. And it says, oh, this is Gina. Okay. And he's like, well, you got to call this girl. And they got her phone number from the trash, too. This is it gets creepier by the minute, everybody. So, guys, let's take a moment for this right now, because so much of this film is forgettable. But this is kind of really important. This moment. What do you talk for a second, guys, about the stalker aspect of this film?
It's supposed to be funny and like a comedy, and it's supposed to be like a little slapsticky at some points. But it starts off with creepy stalking, and then it's like, how did they manage to go from there to romantic comedy? It's like,
Well, as the Shins put it, caring is creepy.
Anybody else want to talk about the scene with Craig and Tom rooting through her trash?
It really disturbed me as a child.
I'm glad. I'm glad all of America wasn't just like going, "Oh no, this is fine." And I'm sure I was. I'm sure when I watched that film, I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of just wacky."
I mean, maybe I'm definitely very sensitive to my carbon footprint to this day, and hyper aware of what I'm putting in the garbage, and maybe I should thank Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, for everybody out there who's thinking about stalking Ray, she uses no trash, so don't even think about it. So it's not even worth it.
You won't find anything interesting.
Yeah. So at this point, they go through the trash. They have found her identity, and I suppose they could try to steal her identity and cause endless amounts of legal problems for her, but instead they try to seduce her. And I say they very specifically because Ethan Hawke's can someone describe this scene right now? What is happening right now?
Okay, so he even though they found the number, Ethan Hawke was too chicken to call her. He was like nervous, and because he's like, he's like this nervous stalker or whatever. And so the brother calls in Craig and acts as if he's Tom, posing as Tom. Smooth talks her or sweet talks her. They're on the phone like, I've seen you at the mall and at the beach, and I think you're following me around. Ha 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 ha! You're the stalker. Like that's supposed to be funny or something. And somehow she goes for it. She's like, okay, come over.
Yeah.
Like,
and he totally and he drops this weird line at the end. He's like, listen, I'm just going to show up at your door. How does he know where she lives? Like, why doesn't she put that together as creepy? I don't get it. But he says, like, listen,
because he says he's her neighbor.
Does he say that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, but he does say, I'm going to show up at your house. Yeah. I'm going to show up at your house at 7. And I'm going to knock on the door. If you come to the door, we'll go on a date. If you don't, no hard feelings.
And don't you think anyone with half a brain would have been like, how did you get my number?
Yeah, she never asks that. She never asks that. But are we just talking about a different age? What, like, could you have just found her number in the phone book?
Yeah, and then maybe like just use
no, she was house sitting. She was house sitting. She would not be in the phone book.
Yeah, maybe she just like used to people
particular
asking.
details they thought out. The rest of the movie was just to like make it work. It was like there was like a core set of things that they wanted to make work that happened and make sense. But the rest of it was an afterthought.
These are plot holes.
There are a lot in this movie.
I want to thank Cheryl for commenting on the banner crawl that I have, which nobody's commented on. It's just been the highlight of this podcast. I came up with it yesterday when we were watching it. We said, "Hey Ray, you know what Ethan Hawke says when he's trying to pick up a girl? Why go out for chicken when you can stay in for Hawke?" That was the most fun I had watching this movie. That's all this movie meant to me. Anyways, carry on.
Okay, so then we get into a scene where Craig is going to give him a man makeover. Again, I want to point this out. He's giving a man makeover to Ethan effing Hawke. Dreamboat Ethan Hawke. Like he's giving him a makeover because no woman will want him the way he is. And it's kind of like an inverse Pretty Woman right here. We have the scene. Can guys explain the scene? What's this montage right here?
The brother says, like, if you want to impress this woman, you have to look like this and that and have these characteristics. And then he's like, oh, you mean like you? He's like, yeah. So he sends him in, and there's a scene where he's getting his hair cut, and he goes to the barber, and it's like he's got this long hair, and his brother has short hair, and it's like he's gonna get his hair cut, and he gets his hair cut, but he doesn't because when he comes out of the haircut, he looks exactly the same.
That's why I didn't. Okay, I'm not crazy. I'm glad. Thank you, Jason. I thought I was like.
Trimmed it up a bit, but not as much as you would have thought. A lot of good-looking people have low self-esteem, and we shouldn't be shaming them about that. And Ethan Hawke, back in the day, was super obsessed with Lisa Loeb. And definitely,
he deserved it. I mean, if you're gonna act like that, you deserve to have Lisa Loeb come along.
Lisa Loeb without her glasses.
If I always know if I ever get to that level of patheticness, that Lisa Loeb is just going to come out of nowhere and break up with me. We all have that fear as a man.
But bring up the glasses.
And that was a '90s fear. You write a song about it.
I find glasses sexy as well, but Lisa Loeb without her glasses, I mean, I don't know. Ethan Hawke has low self-esteem. We shouldn't make fun of him for it.
Ethan Hawke does not have low self-esteem. His last name is fucking Hawke. He's the Hawk. How low self-esteem do you have walking around with the last name Hawke? No, he doesn't.
Okay, so here we are. Ethan Hawke is getting the pretty woman makeover right now, and I swear to you, it's the exact same trope of like the hot girl with glasses, only opposite. They're like, that classic thing of, oh, she's so ugly. Look at her. She has a ponytail and she's wearing glasses. And then at some point they give her the makeover and they take off her glasses and she drops out the ponytail. And everyone's like, oh, she's gorgeous.
Which is what Ian is doing right now.
Ian just that was great.
And this movie totally explains Ethan Hawke's obsession with Lisa Loeb. It's all connected.
There you go. And so, but it's the opposite because with this, they're putting glasses on him. Remember there's that weird scene where he's like, chicks dig glasses. When they say chicks like sophisticated men, they just mean glasses. And they put on the glasses.
True. It's totally true.
Yeah. So he takes Ethan Hawke out clothes shopping. It's just like the Pretty Woman Rodeo Drive thing. He tries on a bunch of stuff. He's putting on ties. And I think what's fascinating about this scene is it digs into, was this a fictional 1990s cool guy style? I mean, did people dress like this? We all lived through it. Like, was this
West Coast? Maybe there. I don't know. Not.
I think it might be coastal. I don't know. But what city was this supposed to be anyway? I'm not clear.
I mean, it wasn't California because Craig was supposed to be flying in from California.
He kind of had a zoot suit thing going on. Yeah, like an 80s, like, I don't know.
Remember, this was probably filmed in 90. I mean, came out in 91.
It was like right on the cusp of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I remember. There's just this weird scene where Craig is contemplating a tie to buy for Tom, and it's this weird kind of paisley tie with a question mark on it, and he's like,
I think it had a heart underneath the question
I think
mark.
that was the tie in the whole theme of the movie, Mystery Date.
Okay.
And the whole identity crisis that Tom, aka Ethan Hawke, goes through.
Yeah. So
For the record, I'm going to say Hawke is his real last name.
It is his last name. He did.
That's right.
He didn't change it.
Wow.
No.
Okay. So he's dressed. He got like maybe a 1/4 inch cut off his hair apparently, and he's home and he's getting ready. Tom's trying to give him advice. He's like, "Well, what if I have nothing to talk to her about?" He's like, "Don't talk, just listen." And he says,
Good advice.
This line, this line is both absolutely misogynistic and not. I don't know. I'm going to say this line. Please react to it. He says, You can treat a woman well. You can treat her crappy. It doesn't matter. She just wants you to listen. Listen, don't talk.
That's horrible advice.
What do you guys think of that line?
No, go on, Jason. I want to hear Jason. It's horrible advice.
Oh, no, I just like all I have to say to that is no.
No.
I mean, are you really treating a woman badly if you're actually listening to her and paying attention to her? I mean,
we can't hear you, Ian.
Sorry. It's this double thing of like, one, it's totally misogynistic, and also you should listen to your date. You should listen to what she's saying. So I don't know. The line stuck out to me.
What if your date is as boring as this movie? Then
You should listen to her.
you should listen to her.
Follow what Craig says. So they go home and they're getting ready for the date. And Tom is begging his brother if he can drive the DeSoto. And Craig's like, no, you can't. I'm not trusting you with this car. I'm renting you a limo. Isn't a limo weird? No, it's fine. You'll show up in a limo. And so they're getting ready, and Tom says, all right. Sorry. Before he's going to leave, the doorbell rings, and it is a flower delivery boy, played by Fisher Stevens. A
Our
character.
second appearance of Fisher Stevens in this podcast.
He was in Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is
Oh,
there,
yeah, he was. Yeah.
He's one of the Goombas.
Get that.
Yeah. Fisher Stevens was everywhere in the 80s and 90s.
Was he ever in a good movie?
Short Circuit.
Is Short Circuit good? I don't want to find
You
out.
got
I don't
people
want
saying his character in Short Circuit was really racist, and that's a dated movie.
Actually, that brings up an interesting thing about Fisher Stevens. I remember I was reading an interview with Aziz Ansari once about that. And he kind of sat down and because Fisher Stevens, now that we're in an era where, maybe a white guy shouldn't be doing a kind of racist caricature of an Asian American. Right. So and Fisher Stevens is kind of him and Hank Azaria's Apu from The Simpsons are kind of the poster child for that. And Fisher Stevens' response was, listen, I would never do that today. It was 1985. Like, I didn't know any better. Nobody knew any better.
He's right. Yeah.
And Aziz, and I remember in this article, like, he sat down and he had lunch with Aziz Ansari. And Aziz Ansari backed him up. He's like, yeah, don't do that again. But I don't blame you for taking a job. Like, especially not at that time. And one thing I will point out about Fisher Stevens and his racist portrayal of Indian Americans. If you look, there's this scene in Short Circuit 2. That movie ends.
I love that movie.
Short Circuit 2 ends with Fisher Stevens' Indian American character and at the immigration swearing in of like 100 people getting their citizenship in the United States. One of them happens to be a robot as well. But like, but it's it is this scene glorifying immigration. And it's this big thing. Fisher Stevens' character has been trying to become an American citizen for 2 films. And gosh, I'd never thought that a scene like that would be controversial in the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a big Hollywood movie that the whole climax of the series was this heartwarming scene of people being sworn in as American citizens. And I never thought that would be something that was controversial. I don't know. Can't talk about Fisher Stevens without talking about his racial portrayal. But like, I want to point that out that, I don't know, like, on one hand, yeah, it was a product of the time where people would regularly do racist caricatures, but nobody batted an eye at that point at the nobleness of immigration in the U.S. I'm going to get off the soapbox for a little bit. Anyway, Fisher Stevens is in the movie, everybody.
This podcast is turning into 6 Degrees of Fisher Stevens.
Let's get some more Fisher Stevens movies. But anyway,
no.
You don't want Hackers next? Like,
oh God, no.
Well, here's the thing.
No.
John thinks bringing like religious films into this is going to hurt Jules. No, it's Hackers.
Hackers
really hurt Jules. So anyway, Fisher Stevens' flower guy comes in. It's important to talk about this because this is going to affect the rest of the movie. He's a few minutes late. And I think this is Craig's greatest sin of the film, is he is needlessly an asshole to Fisher Stevens. Absolutely needlessly. He's like, I've got a big date tonight, and you're late, and you effed it up. And Fisher Stevens is like, oh no. Yeah. And then he's like, there goes your tip. Like, why was Craig being an asshole to this guy? He didn't ruin the date. Like,
to show what a joke he is. Like, he's just this guy who's an asshole to everyone all the time.
Yeah. And this ruins Fisher Stevens' life. And so then Craig leaves. He's like, I'm going to go hang out with some buddies from the old days.
Can we just address, just here in the beginning, let's just address how lazy this is. I mean, this is just lazy. I mean, this is like just having Fisher Stevens give this much of a shit of what happened here is some of the laziest writing we've seen. I'm saying in terms of manufacturing circumstances that wind up being relevant later on.
Yeah, everything about this movie is lazy. Everything about this movie is lazy. But again, let's set this up. So Fisher Stevens. So first, Tom leaves. He says Craig leaves. He gives Tom his credit card. Says, have a great night. Use my credit card. Tip heavy. Make sure that she's watching when you tip heavy. Women like to see that you're tipping. That goes into the whole Fisher Stevens thing, and then he leaves. Fisher Stevens, the flower guy, is now backing up, and he doesn't see, and he smashes into the limo. And he smashes into the limo, and he drives away. And so then the limo guy calls Ethan Hawke and says, listen, I'm really sorry I was in an accident. We can't get you a limo. He's like, this is an important night. He's like, I know it's an important night. That's why you ordered a limo. I actually did like that line. There are some good lines in this film. And so Tom is figuring, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And he grows a pair and he steals the DeSoto. All right. The DeSoto's in the picture now. And so he drives, and he's good to go. He's got the flowers. He drives across the street. He drives next door, goes to Terry Polo's house, and he knocks on the door. Oh, is she going to show up? Of course she's going to show up. The movie's called Mystery Date. There's some moment of, is she going to? Is she not? And she does. And then the radiant Terry Polo enters the frame. And she doesn't know what to do. She's like, am I going to go with this guy or not? I mean, I already think she's put her life in her hands by answering the door, but she then grills him a little bit. And what are the things that she asks? Does anyone remember? The way that she's going to figure out if Tom's not a serial killer.
What's the last novel that you read? Which is also a question that I ask my internet dates.
Oh.
and then she asked, and I think this was key, and this is important, and I can understand where she was coming from on this one. What is the capital of Uruguay?
Yep, that's one of them.
Okay. She asks that. And she asks, what is the last novel you read? Which automatically, Ethan Hawke is going to go to hell right here. Because what does he do? What does he answer?
He lists the book that she last read that he just read off her receipt or whatever.
No, that he spied on her reading with a telescope.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, I just read that book.
And she didn't ask any follow-up questions.
I know. Yeah, that's bad on her end. Yeah. It's like it was an easy opportunity. Like, wow, that really sucks the way the story ends or whatever, Yeah.
And so then she then says, and who is your hero? And then he says, well, I always look up to my older brother. And she says, oh, that sounds that's cute. Most people say Michael Jordan. Again, kind of dating the film.
She said sweet.
Yeah. So then they get in the DeSoto. She says, oh, this is a wonderful car. Some guys try to pick me up in a limo.
Hardy, hardy, har.
And they drive away and they go to the first restaurant. Now, guys, can someone else take up the scene? So they get to the restaurant. They're seated. What happens here? What happens next? Walk me through this scene.
Oh God! Wait, yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm trying.
They go to sit down to dinner, and he gets up for a minute and runs into someone who mistakes him as his brother Craig, jaded lover, whatever, and he gets slapped.
Yeah, and Terry Polo doesn't see that. Yeah, he gets up, and they have a little conversation, and Terry Polo sets up, what's her most important thing? What's the most important thing that she values in a date and anyone she wants to see? Anyone remember?
Honesty.
All right. Well, now we've set up our dramatic tension here, everybody, because apparently Terry Polo doesn't like to be lied to, and all Ethan Hawke is doing is lying. There you go. Write your checks. Greenlight this movie. One person doesn't like to be lied to, and the other person lies. That's the crux of our drama. So then Tom gets up, and like you said, he gets slapped by this woman who thinks he is his brother. Because he drives his car. Apparently no one in
and
the
wears
car.
the suit. No, presumably this woman slept with him, and I think it's weird that they were confused.
Yeah, everybody in this movie is confused. And so then he goes back to Terry Polo and says, hey, we should leave right now. Like, yeah, like he says, how was your drink? And then he says, second thought, tell me in the car. And they run out. She doesn't seem particularly weirded out by this. And then they drive away in the DeSoto. While they are driving and having a nice conversation, I think. I don't know. I was barely paying attention. While they're driving away, Fisher Stevens pulls alongside them in the flower van and starts screaming. And we can hear what he's saying. And he says, did you bang her yet? Did you get her drunk with my tip money, Craig? And, well, like, why don't you use these to bang her? And he starts throwing flowers out the window. Terry Polo thinks this is delightful. She just thinks it's delightful. She does comment
because they just paper over it by having her be like, I can't hear what he's saying.
And she's
There's
not
flowers.
Yeah, she's
it's so lazy. It's so...
and somehow she reads this situation of this car that's swerving at them and throwing flowers that this is charming. Because as much as I am in love with Terry Polo, she has no character in this film.
But neither does Ethan Hawke, so it's fair.
It's fair. So
you guys are getting into something of a point I wanted to make just real quickly. The secondary characters were more interesting than the main characters.
Yeah. No, but only, it was only, but even then, well, we'll get to it. I'm gonna bite my tongue.
So, everybody, I need everyone to take over for just a minute. Where we go next is the garage, is the gas station scene.
Oh God, yes.
So, guys, if I just need someone else to pick up for just a second.
Okay, I will skip right to what's important here, which is again more laziness. So they pull up at a gas station. There's some whole thing where she has to use the bathroom, and I don't know. But then a detective shows up, a cop, and starts asking him questions about relating to his brother, and then, well, he essentially arrests him, and essentially,
he asks about the car and uses the car as like
They just essentially arrest him, and then
it's a weird way to arrest somebody. I mean, usually cops,
it was weird.
They identify themselves. They have their gun drawn out. He was just like trying to get close to him and be like, "Gotcha."
That was
detective looked like a 1950s detective or something.
He was.
Yeah.
He really fedora and everything.
Yeah. And then so then they look in the trunk, and then there's a body in the trunk, which is lazily.
He didn't get arrested for stalking. Now he's so going to get arrested for having a body in the trunk.
Sure.
Right. Now tell me what happens here, because I have no idea.
This is the lazy part. This is the lazy part. The body in the trunk is holding an Uzi.
The dead
body is holding an Uzi. And somehow when Ethan Hawke slams it shut, that causes the Uzi to go off and kill the cop.
One bullet, right.
That is through the trunk into the cop.
Right.
And
an Uzi, one bullet.
Happened to hit a vital organ or something.
And he drops dead immediately.
Yeah. that might be the laziest thing I've ever seen.
That was extremely lazy.
It's not even.
His reaction was even even more because it was like a time killer. It's like he just grabs his dead body and stuffs him in the back with the other dead body. Like,
meanwhile, Terry Polo is,
and then he really is a bad person. Like, so now it's like,
like I'm gonna say this.
You're not a victim. You're a really bad. This guy had a family and shit. You're a really bad person.
Like, I've been on some dates. I know Ray has. And I would just hazard to say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how important this date is when someone is murdered in front of you.
I know, it's like, and like the police report totally writes us off. It's like maybe he could have saved this man's life if he,
of course, shot and
accidentally shooting him by closing the trunk of his car.
Didn't the detective call for backup?
Yeah.
Yes.
He kind of did. He told his buddy, and he's like, "You're supposed to wait for backup before you approach."
Yeah,
and he didn't.
And spoiler alert here: later on, when all of this is revealed, when Ethan Hawke explains there was this guy, and then he got murdered, and I put them in the trunk, his explanation to Terry Polo was essentially, "I didn't want to ruin the night because I really like you." That was his explanation. A man's murdered in front of him. And what he cares about is not like scotching the deal with Terry Polo. And I'm in love with Terry Polo, and I would have ended that date if a man was murdered in front of me. I'm just saying that right now.
It wasn't really murder, though. It was accidental death, but then he was really irresponsible about it after.
Yeah. So now... okay.
Yeah, that really is fucked up. No one can...
At that same time...
Like a real detour from romantic comedy.
Yeah. At that same time, Terry Polo
sociopathic, asshole that you'd never want to see again. But, whatever. Terry Polo has low self-esteem as well, clearly.
So at that same time, Terry Polo is in the gas station, and she comes across this, kind of heavy set gas station attendant doing yoga or Tai Chi. And she says, "Oh, good form." And did anyone pick up that, they're so trying to be Jim Jarmusch here? Like, this was such a, yeah, they're totally trying to. They're trying to be like...
That's that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I thought. I thought they were ineffectually trying to make a quirky Jim Jarmusch scene here. So anyway, so she comes out, and they are getting ready to drive. They are getting ready to drive away when another police officer finds them. And no, guys.
You skipped the whole scene there. Yeah.
Yeah, they drive away somewhere. Where do they go next?
Wait, they go to the club. The club with the ridiculous costumes, and there's it's like crazy fantasy costumes.
They went to club and Guar was playing there.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing you're going to leave out of the movie is the Guar cameo. Come on.
I love Guar.
So yes.
Wait, that was actually Guar?
That was Guar. Yeah.
That was Guar.
It really was. Oh, I thought that they were too cheap and they just had a Guar-esque band.
No.
I don't know anything.
I know. I agree. I didn't think they would be able to afford the real Guar.
Guar makes money.
Everybody, stop for a second. This is not a low-budget movie.
No, it's not a low-budget movie.
Not they can absolutely afford Guar.
It wasn't a high-budget movie either. I mean, it was
$10 million. It was $10 million in the early 1990s.
1991. I don't think it's that much.
Jason,
look up for Guar.
It's $10 million. So anyway. And why did they go to this club again? Was this club that was suggested?
Because he had called home. This is important later. He had called home to try to reach his brother to tell him that he had killed the cop. And he said, "Oh, you said something about going to places we used to go. So I'm going to go."
They pulled the pin out of his pocket that had the club logo on it.
Okay, all right. All right. So he's setting up. I want to go find my brother. So they go to the club. And it's not a biker bar. It's really kind of a punk bar. It was a cool location,
Punk
actually.
metal, hardcore kind of a place.
Yeah, and Guar is playing, and Terry Polo loves it. She's like, "Oh my god, this is great," and she should.
I'm such a girl next door type, but I'm totally a punk too, and I like metal.
Yeah, and so then,
Yeah, I can relate
so,
to that.
yeah. So Tom goes to the bartender. He goes to the bartender and says, "Hey, I'm looking for Craig McHugh." Everybody thinks he's me, and he's like, "Yeah, you're not Craig McHugh. You don't look like him at all." He's the only person in the movie that doesn't mistake him for his brother.
Because he's a bartender, and they're basically the therapists of the party.
There you go. And he's like, "Your brother's probably upstairs, though." Oh, thank you. So he ditches Terry Polo and he goes upstairs, and then he sees a Chinese man dead holding a phone, and is scrawled in blood on the wall, McHugh. And he does that, doesn't he just write an MQ or something like that? And in case you scrub off the wall, he also had scrawled it on a piece of paper and pen. McHugh.
Yes. And then also a random Chinese thing.
Okay.
Which I did not follow.
So,
Which, let me, since I'm going to point out all the laziness, he then proceeds to slip on the blood and then fall directly onto the blood scrawled on the wall, so that there's a perfect imprint of the Chinese writing on the back of his shirt.
Oh, yeah.
He
I'm just saying.
slid down the wall. How are those letters going to got there like so good like that?
Oh my! Oh, I totally forgot that. And that it shows up later. It shows up later.
It does make his shirt look super cool.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then he's freaking out, and he intercepts Terry Polo, because Terry Polo's like, "Where did Tom go?" And she asks the bartender, and the bartender's like, "Yeah, your boyfriend's upstairs. I think he was looking for his brother." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And she goes up and she finds Tom, and she's like, "Tom, where are you? I'd like to meet your brother." And he's like, "We gotta go. And she's put off by that. Not too put off, because Terry Polo is really not fazed by a lot throughout this movie. There's another thing I want to bring up. Before the Guar scene, there's this, Terry Polo says to Tom, "I can't wait to see what you throw at me next."
She likes surprises.
But here's where I'm going with this. They have set up this movie to be a comedy of errors, a chaos comedy of errors, and they do not earn that at that point in the movie. Like, all that has happened at this point in the movie is that Tom yanked her out of the bar before she could finish her drink, and then they got the flowers thrown at them with the car. In any other movie like this, I'm going to name a few other movies that follow this and do it better. One would be, License to Drive, another film that's exactly like this movie.
Adventures in Babysitting.
Adventures in Babysitting is perfect.
Yeah.
By the point in the movie, there would have been 9 different comedies of errors. There would have been 9 crazy things that would have happened by this point in the movie, and there's been nearly nothing. And Terry Polo is saying, like, "Well, I can't wait what you're going to surprise me with next, Tom." What? Like, what she's been surprised by is he has a nice car, they didn't get to have their meal, and they almost got into a car accident. That's what they've had so far.
Yeah, this movie is not vaudeville enough, is what it boils down to. Canarso has the inflation, so it's $19 million today. Is how much it would cost.
This is not.
I don't even know if we've ever seen a movie that cost $19 million in 2020, but that would be
no. Like,
Dude, wasn't Titanic?
Wait,
wasn't that around that era? Titanic.
Titanic's going to be a little bit later.
And like 200 million.
Not that much later.
Yeah. So, and I think that's my big problem, that they have set this up as a giant comedy of errors, like this chaotic comedy of errors, and there have been nowhere near enough comedy of errors at this point to earn Terry Polo's frequent refrain of, "I can't wait to see what you've got in store for me next, Tom." She said it like 3 times at this point. Anyway, that was on the way to Guar. So they then leave the bar. They get to the car and they encounter a police officer who is belligerent, who goes, Hey, you can't leave. He's like, "Oh God, I'm going to go to jail for murder." you don't have a tire. And he looks down, and the tire has been taken off the car. But the jack is still there, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Why would thieves leave the jack?
Maybe someone caught them in the act.
Maybe. I don't know. All right. So and so then the cop says, well, all right, I'll help you load on your spare. And he's like, no, you can't help me with that because there's dead bodies in the trunk. And he's like, no.
Well, he doesn't say that.
No, he doesn't say that. So how does Ethan Hawke get the spare? Does he like push the bodies aside? I don't remember.
That's just
You have to
mine.
figure the
We
spare would
don't.
be underneath the bodies, and somehow he got it out and just kind of like
He just mimes it.
Play around, right?
Okay. Got
He
it.
just mimes it. He just goes and then gets the tire.
Yeah, and so he gets
Also,
the tire.
also, Ian, how big is that? Could that trunk hold 2 bodies?
Oh, the DeSoto, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And a tire.
Well, here's the thing. I was assuming the tire was under the flap
sunken.
there.
Yeah.
It was sunk in there, which he could ever have gotten that out? But so it goes. Yes, you could fit bodies in the DeSoto. Everybody, if you have a 1959 DeSoto and you're involved in crime, mystery date did not lie to you. You can hide the bodies in the trunk. Not in my preference of vehicle, the 1960 Corvette convertible, but are we really splitting hairs here? Okay. So anyway, Tom changes the tire. He's getting ready to leave. They get in the car. They're pulling away, and the cop then screams, "Hey, stop!" And he stops. He's like, and he sees the pool of what is obviously blood on the ground. Obviously blood. And he says, "You wait right here." And he dips his fingers in the blood. And he swirls his hand in it. In this weird, he dwells on it. And he picks it up. And he eats the blood. And he says, "Do you know what this is?" I'm just horrified at this point.
He doesn't eat the blood. He dips his fingers in it.
He totally.
He doesn't
He's
eat
making
it.
it work. He's making it worse.
He
He
licks
does
the
not
ground,
eat it.
everybody. No,
He just dips his fingers in it really
I think
presumptuously.
he rubbed it like this in his
He
fingers. or
rubs it
something.
in his fingers like, hey,
yeah.
a
And
very
he breathes
fine,
in it right there. No, but then he says, "This is transmission fluid. See, when it gets warm and sticky and red like this, that means you got to change your transmission fluid." Okay. And then they leave. All right. So that's been going on. And then the movie kind of meanders. They go to Chinatown, right?
Yeah.
That's
No,
when we go
you skipped. Okay, so
Oh,
yeah.
What did I skip? What did I skip?
No, you didn't. No.
Okay. So they go to Chinatown, and Terry Polo is delighted that they're in Chinatown. And so they stop somewhere else. And I'm trying to see if I get this.
I have
Yep.
a question. So who understands precisely why Ethan Hawke went up the stairs to the random bathroom to talk to that guy? Who understands how that happened?
Oh, you mean in the Guar bar?
No. When they go to Chinatown, he's like, "I'm going to ditch you to go in this random shop. I'll be right back." And then he goes up the stairs and goes into a random bathroom where the random Chinese dude is there and gives him the clue about the parable about
he takes his shirt off. He asks the guy, "What does this mean on my back?" The guy says, "It's a Chinese proverb saying to look in pot," because there was a man who was poor and he was given a pot or like a vase or something. He thought it was cool and he never looked inside to know there was gold in it, and he starved to death. And it's like, okay, we've now got this proverb built into the plot.
Yeah. And
right, but how did that happen? How did he know to go there? What was that bathroom? Who is that guy?
Because he had a business card of his brother's in his wallet or something like that.
So the business card was for a bathroom in Chinatown. Is that what it was?
But no, his bartender said his brother was there.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Jules, I want to point this out. Who is that guy? I don't know, but I sure as hell know who the actor is, and that's Victor Wong. And I sure as hell know who the other actor, who is the like palm reader or
who is? I knew he was coming into this movie the moment we went to Chinatown. I knew we were going to see him,
and that's James Hong. And this is another point I want to make. This film is full of racist caricatures of Asian Americans, but it is also full of incredibly talented Asian American actors.
And here I go right back to the secondary characters were more interesting than the main characters.
Yes, yes.
And
First of
very
all-
sexy. Like I like the supervillain, whatever his name is.
I'm going to talk about
BD
this.
Wong.
yeah,
man.
I'm like totally
man.
into it.
So
So
you have James Hong and Victor Wong in the same scene, which is a total homage to Big Trouble in Little China, because James
Yes,
Hong
I love
played
that
Lin Lo Pan and Victor Wong played Egg Shen. These are two fantastic actors who chew the scenery like it's edible. They absolutely kill these scenes. And then we're very close to meeting the supervillain of the film, who is BD Wong. And BD Wong, if anyone steps to this actor, I'll put up fists, partly because I know him. BD Wong is an amazing actor, has an incredible lineage of films that he's been in, theater. A little background on me. When I was a kid, my parents ran a bed and breakfast in Connecticut. And BD Wong, so in the 80s, when I was a kid, BD Wong on the
Was
weekend
bringing his dog to the Connecticut Dog Show, right?
would
You should applaud that.
yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
No, but BD Wong used to come on weekends sometimes in the summer and stay at my house. He would stay in the bed and breakfast that I grew up in. Like BD Wong used to help me with my. Oh, it wasn't the summer because BD Wong used to help me with my homework, like my 3rd grade homework. So
that's insane. Do
Yeah.
you understand how fucking insane that is?
Yeah. Really.
That's fucking insane. How do you just drop something like that? Like so nonchalant. That's fucking crazy. BD Wong is helping you in your fucking homework.
Gosh, I wish you helped me
Bed and
with
breakfast.
my
Oh,
homework.
Jesus Christ, dude.
So as when BD Wong came on this film, I'm just like, oh, fantastic! How did I forget that? And so
I have
BD
some homework he can help me with.
Okay. So it's Ray, your thirst for BD Wong is absolutely admirable, but I think he bats for the other side.
Of course he does. Of course he's my type.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're not.
Is he your
Unattainable man.
Is he your
Unattainable
type
man.
because
That's my type.
is he your type because he's gay and unavailable?
I think mostly the unavailable
Okay.
part.
All right. I was wondering if it was a combination of both or just one.
I mean, both of them is nice,
Yeah, I think she made it pretty clear there, John. But we can't talk about BD Wong if we don't get to the scene. So first of all, yes. So as we were saying, Ethan Hawke randomly goes up these stairs. I guess because his brother told him to go there, and he finds Victor Wong, who reads him the proverb. Jason, can you explain it one? Jason just left. He doesn't want to talk about this movie.
No, I will.
He only picked it. He only picked it. Why does he have to sit here and talk about it?
Jason, explain the proverb again, because I can never get it right. What was the proverb supposed to be?
It's a man receives a nice vase. They say pot, but I think they mean like a vase or something like that. And the man was poor, but he really admired this vase. He put it up on his shelf. He had no idea there was gold inside the vase, and then he died of starvation, not knowing he was really rich. The proverb being, look in the pot, look inside yourself. Somehow that means that.
Okay, there we go. Meanwhile, Terry Polo is downstairs getting was it a palm reading, or was he like reading
palm
her?
reading.
It was palm reading. Okay. Getting a palm reading by James Hong. Who then Ray, do you remember what Hong read from her poem in that scene?
I remember she says to Ethan Hawke, "You're an imposter."
Oh yes, he does. Like
but for female protagonist, it was something like, I don't remember. Gosh, I don't know why I don't remember.
Like a tarot cards on the table. I don't even remember. It was probably something like, "You are in for an exciting time, but watch out, things are not what they seem."
Yeah.
Something like that. And so then
really cryptic and unrememberable.
Yeah, so Ethan Hawke comes down the stairs, and she's like, "Oh, Tom, you need to get your hand read here. You need to get your palm read." He's like, "Okay, fine." Puts it on. Is she paying for this, or is James Hong just like doing this for free?
He implies he's doing it for free.
Okay, all right. That does not happen. So anyway, so he puts out his hand, he reads and he goes, and he says, beware of your false self. Because magic exists in this world.
Yeah, like he's a mystic psychic all of a sudden.
Yeah, like, and so then they leave and they go over to the address that he somehow figured out his brother's going to be, and he finds his brother's like office or something, and it's this crazy ransacked place, and he figures out at this point that his brother's a fraud. Surprise, surprise, that he's been like forwarding mail from California and that he's been here the whole time, and he realizes, does he even figure out what his brother is? He's an art thief or something, right? He's a thief?
I always figured he was an art thief. Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
That's bad news. That's all I know.
Like you can't be an art dealer and be on the run for thieving it at the same time. Like he's just an art thief.
Yeah, and so, and then they go to a Chinese restaurant where they are accosted by the incomparable Victor Wong. Oh, sorry, BD Wong. Sorry, BD. Sorry, like my old third grade school teacher. BD Wong accosts them and sits them down at a table, and he is too cool for school. Like he's just this smooth mob boss.
When I said that I 2/3 hate the movie, I hate it up until BD Wong shows up.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he's totally playing up the you're McHugh, and this is what I don't get. Doesn't he literally know who McHugh is? Doesn't
There's
he know?
a lot of love in this room for BD Wong. I had no idea.
And are we going to touch on how people are
So
mistaking
much
him for his brother?
John, we're getting back to hating the movie. Sorry, Jason. What were you saying?
Oh, and he's just continuously mistaken for his brother when he looks nothing like his brother.
And doesn't BD Wong know who McHugh is? Didn't they say he interrogated him the other?
I think, yeah, that's what doesn't make sense. But then on the other hand, it's kind of like, I feel like that some draft of the script had it that like they only talk on the phone or something because like his brother talks about being like, I'm calling you again, telling you where the vase is or something, and being like, Yeah. So I feel like an earlier draft it was all phone, but then they added that thing in there being like, I was interrogating you the other day, and it's just like this is the moment, this is the pivotal point where like all of the strands just explode into just a collage of nonsense that it's like all can't untangle.
Yeah, so like, and BD Wong, the most important thing of this scene is BD Wong establishes that he wants his vase back. He wants his vase back. Got it. And then they go out, and how does Ethan Hawke get separated from them? I don't remember. He gets away, and Terry Polo doesn't get away.
Because they go to his brother's apartment. Talk about like this is the point where I was saying the rest of the movie is lazy. This is over ambitious. This is where why we needed him to be pretending to be his brother to be pretending to be in California, but actually being here is way too elaborate. And so they go to his apartment and
they figure out what he is.
Yeah, and then this is the crazy. Somebody explain this to me. Did I miss something? Because the way they find the brother's apartment is Terry Polo says something about like, my mom has a phone number she can call, and she puts account number in there, and they tell the address or something. And I'm like, well, did you remember this? This is how they found it because they had
that was weird.
They had the check. They had a check or something made out to his brother, and she was like, oh, if you call this phone number, they'll just give you the address from any bank account number. And it was just why did Terry Polo up until this point does not have any particular practical knowledge about anything that's going on, why it just shows up at this point. I'm not the only one that missed this, right? Was there a reason?
I'm
the only one hung up on this. I'm sorry. That's how they find his apartment.
Insane. Would this have made more sense in 1990?
No,
Was
because
this
she just
like-
out of the blue is like, my mom has a phone number that you can call and get the address of any bank account number, and then they do it.
Okay. So
Yep.
that's how they find the apartment. They go to the apartment, they find a bunch of stuff. And this is where Terry Polo, like, finally puts her foot down. Finally. She's like, you know what? You're not being honest with me. You're not telling me. And this is where he explains it. This is the scene where he's like, all right, Terry Polo, here's the deal. When we were out after dinner, like when I went out, I saw a guy murdered in front of me and I put his dead body in the car with the other dead body. Blah, 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 murder, murder, murder.
He doesn't explain it. He's like, he only explains it partially. Leaves
But he
out
does
the
say
killing
murder.
part.
He explains
He does not.
the murder
He doesn't
part.
explain the murder because he's like, I can't tell you because then
Like-
you leave. And then she's
Oh.
like, well, I'm going to leave. And then she does.
Like, you know what?
Yeah.
But then she leaves. She doesn't have a ride home. He's her ride home. And then she goes and just like leaves the building.
All right, Terry.
And then she walks down the
He walks
railroad
down the
track.
train tracks.
Dinner, like when I went out, I saw a guy murdered in front of me, and I put his dead body.
You've got a weird loop happening right there.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we have an
Yeah.
infinite loop. Who's watching the video?
He doesn't
Who's-
explain it. He's like, he only explains it partially.
Who's watching the video? We've got an infinite loop going on. Oh, there we go.
There we go. So, okay, and then thank you, Jules. Because now, okay, everybody, don't worry. We're going to get the plot correct here. So now, after Terry Polo says they're going to leave, they leave the apartment, and that's when they get abducted by B.D. Wong. They go to the restaurant, yada, yada, yada. Where's my vase? Where's my vase? They then are leaving.
No. This is after the restaurant. They've already escaped the restaurant because B.D. Wong was just going to murder them or something. And then they find his brother's apartment. They go there. She leaves the apartment by herself, walks down the railroad tracks for no reason. And then he goes to the window, and then B.D. Wong pulls up and is like, ha ha, yeah, it's your brother. You're living at his apartment. I know that much somehow. I know you're here.
Okay.
And then, yes, at which point he tells him that he has until 2:00 in the morning to give him the vase.
Oh, the vase. So he lets him go, but he keeps Terry Polo.
Right.
All right. Everybody clear? Everybody got that so
No.
far?
No.
Right. God, I hate
Terry Polo's the clear prize in this.
I got a headache now, everybody. So,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
me too.
All right. So, okay. Now, also at the same time, the FBI has ransacked Tom and Craig's house. Because they accosted Fisher Stevens. Because they thought Fisher Stevens was McHugh for some reason. I don't remember why. And
He had the bloody head of the detective, and so
he had the
he killed the
blood.
detective.
So,
Despite the
but
fact that the body
basically,
wasn't there.
they roughed up Fisher Stevens, and then Fisher Stevens said, no, it's this guy Craig McHugh. He lives at this house and everything, blah blah blah. So they go and they do the whole deal. They figure that out. So they ransack the house and they wire it. They put up a surveillance van in case McHugh comes back. McHugh does come back. It's Tom McHugh, and he goes in. Where is the vase? Can somebody tell me this? Where is the MacGuffin? Where did he find it? Was it in the trunk of the car? Where was it?
His brother sold it to an art gallery and broke into an art gallery
Let's steal it back.
to steal it back.
But where is it? Where does Tom get it?
He gets it from the art gallery. He literally breaks into an art gallery and steals it.
There's this scene, Tom stealing this thing.
Only partially. You see him breaking in,
Yeah,
and
he's
then you
smoking
see
a
him
cigarette.
and then he
Oh
just
my-
hangs out and like talks on the
Being
phone
an
at the
asshole.
gallery for a while.
I think that was Craig who
Oh,
actually.
wait, is that Craig or is it Tom?
No, it's
okay.
Craig.
No,
Craig.
Craig. Yes, Craig. Sorry, that's why
But
I'm saying.
how does Tom get it? Because Tom gets the spoiler alert,
No.
everybody. The deal with the
He
vase.
got the tape from the glove box of the DeSoto.
But then why does everybody? Okay, here's the deal. Spoiler alert. We're gonna
Which
find
he
out.
randomly put in his pocket.
Yeah, B.D.
He
Wong
just-
doesn't care about the vase. He wants the tape, which is evidence of him being a mob boss. Why was the tape in the vase, and how does Tom get the tape? Okay, never mind. Never effing mind.
Yes.
Tom goes home. He has the tape. He makes a copy of the tape on his
I will tell you after this particular
Answering.
switcheroo and this whole thing with the stealing and the fakes and the
Okay,
rest.
please.
I will never think that the whole Octopussy plot about the Fabergé egg is confusing again. That will never happen. That was straightforward. That was easy to understand compared to what's going on with the straws and the tape and the rest of it.
Okay. So Tom, actually using some smart 1980s technology, uses his parents' answering machine to copy the tape of evidence.
Yes, Ethan Hawke, first protagonist in the history of film, and maybe since, to actually make a copy of the MacGuffin in a movie, ever. Never happened before.
Yeah.
Apparently will never happen again.
No. So and then he sees that the cops are everywhere. They go raiding, and he jumps out and he's hiding in the bushes. And that's when the cops they go to the trunk of the car and they open it up and they see the body. And then they realize that, oh no, this was a hitman. This is a hitman who works for BD Wong. I can tell right now he was waiting in the car to kill Craig McHugh, and then he died of asphyxiation in the gunshot, and that's who killed our cop, not McHugh. And oh no, that comes later. Sorry.
At this point, I don't even know if we can piece it together. I mean,
no, I can get this, guys. I can do this.
Okay.
Why is this movie harder than Fateful Findings? Okay, now you have this scene where Tom is hiding in the bushes, and then the DeSoto starts rolling. Now we've established that it has a finicky parking brake. They want this car to be like a character in the movie, and I just don't think it is. But whatever. So it's slowly rolling. Tom jumps in the car and he drives away. And he drives away, and then he gets to a highway overpass. And that's when he gets accosted by Fisher Stevens. Fisher Stevens, well,
he falls off the bridge first.
He falls off the bridge, and Tom is hanging from a bar, and he's calling for help.
I could put this scene up if anyone's interested.
Do it, John. Do it.
Yes.
Play the scene.
It's the best scene, according to John.
Do it.
All right.
This is such a sadistic scene. I mean,
You
I
got
have some enemies that I might, have 1 or 2 seconds where I hesitate to save them from the edge, but I would definitely save anyone from the edge.
Fisher Stevens.
Here we go.
I'm not just a sociopath.
Oh shoot!
So while we're setting this up, yeah. So
It's not available online, which means none of you can see it. That's the way.
This is the only time you're ever going to see this. So
Yeah.
you'll also see what Fisher Stevens looks like in this. He's got this weird
Hi, Craig. Help me! Help you? I could help you. On the other hand, if I don't, all your friends, family, and neighbors will have to call up and order flowers for your funeral. And I can make a lot of money. I can make a lot of money on trips.
A lot of money.
If I still had my job.
They were getting a little heavy-handed with the hammer and sickle
Tip
here.
me for my tip. Fine. That's okay.
Fisher Stevens is now smashing the DeSoto
You
with a
trying to
hammer.
run me off the road? No problem. I'm a flower boy. It all comes with the territory.
That's a tough car.
Where's your problem?
Yeah.
What's that? Did you say something? I can't hear you. Take that thing out of your mouth. Where's your problem? You're my problem. You're my problem. You're my problem.
Okay, John. Oh, okay, stop the scene. Stop.
It's a great scene.
Enough.
So what just happened there, if you're listening here, is so Fisher Stevens is smashing the DeSoto. And John, you make a really good point. He doesn't do a good job smashing that DeSoto.
No.
It is not like the Big Lebowski scene with, like, I kill your fucking car. It's not like
I don't know if that
scene.
car's that tough, is it?
Yeah, he kind of just scratches it up a little bit. He smashes the taillights, uses his Soviet sickle to puncture the tire.
Yes.
Yeah, but that car is going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And then Fisher Stevens falls off the overpass. He's on the train tracks. He's like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And then a train goes and apparently hits him. Tom then climbs back up and he steals the flower truck and drives away. Now, Fisher Stevens, after the train goes by, gets up off the tracks. He's fine.
It's very Looney Tunes.
Very Looney Tunes. He goes. Then the cops come. They find the DeSoto. They get a report from the train engineer that he hit somebody. So he's like, oh well, he killed a cop and he kissed the train. That's a good trade-off. And that's when their forensics guy goes, no, McHugh didn't kill the cop. We just found this B.D. Wong assassin in the trunk. Blah blah blah. McHugh didn't kill anybody. All right, that's what they figured out. So now Tom is going to go and try to rescue Terry Polo from B.D. Wong. Craig is going back home, realizes that Tom stole the DeSoto, realizes that the cops are casing the joint. He runs out, steals Tom's crappy car, drives. Everybody converges on B.D. Wong's cool mansion. Cool. It was a cool mansion. Shout out to the location scouts who found it. Jules, did you like B.D. Wong's lair?
That was a good location scouting, yeah.
If I had a mansion, I'd have a martial arts room with a guy in there practicing swords all the time.
At the same time, like two beat cops. Oh no! The surveillance people who are listening in, they play the Oh sorry, I'm jumping ahead, everybody. Yes, Tom goes to B.D. Wong's lair. He's breaking in. He then goes into Jason's favorite workout room, where one of Wong's people is, who takes a katana and tries to. Is it a katana? That's another thing, right? Like,
Or
No
that
sword.
one was. The first two swords he had weren't. The one he pulled out later was a katana.
yeah,
And it was another one of those like failed comedy moments where he's like, "This sword has been in my family for 300 years," and then Tom picks up a weight like this, and he goes and hits the sword into the weight, and it breaks. And it's supposed to be like, "Ha ha ha!"
Yeah,
He's
the
like,
tone.
"Oh, asshole," you know.
There's first of all the tone problems with the movie where it kind of goes back and forth and you don't know what you're seeing. So when it gets wacky, you're like, "Oh, we're wacky now." And then there's secondly the problem. The katana is a Japanese sword. Is
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a Chinese.
I'm just checking.
Anyway, so yes, so they then it is katana versus workout equipment, and he goes and he attacks Tom with the katana. Tom blocks it with like a free weight, and the sword breaks, and he goes like, "You asshole" or something like that. And then they have a fight. How does Tom win? Does he just get a lucky shot with something or something? Somebody slips. I don't know. So
I don't
then,
Somehow the guy who had the sword ended up out of the like.
Oh,
crashed
right.
through the
Yes,
window.
that's right. He smashes him out the window somehow.
okay, probably killing him. Let's note, everybody, Tom killed a man. Ethan Hawke just killed a man in this scene. Let's just move on. So then he is caught by B.D. Wong, who has been, kind of been making sexually aggressive moves at Terry Polo in like a supervillain kind of way. And then they have a scene where B.D. Wong is threatening to kill everybody if he doesn't give him the tape. And he's like, and then Tom shows up. Craig shows up. The brother Craig shows up and he's got the vase. He's like, you stop messing with my brother. If you keep messing with my brother, I'm going to shatter your family heirloom. And Tom's like, Craig, he doesn't care about the vase. He doesn't care about it. And Craig's like, Tom, I think I know what's going on more than you do. And B.D. Wong shoots the vase. And he's like, you didn't want the vase? And Tom's like, no, he just wants the tape. And B.D. Wong, if you kill any of us, I've made copies of this tape. And if we die, I've left instructions for it to be sent to every law enforcement agency in the country. And he's like, you're bluffing. He's like, I can prove it to you. Can I have your phone? Takes and he calls the house phone with the answering machine, and it plays the tape. And now B.D. Wong is in a bind because he's like, man, you really did make a tape. And his brother's like, you made a copy of the tape?
Wait, no. Did we not bring up the tape before? Did we just not bring up the tape because it's just too complicated?
I have no idea where he found it.
I don't think we did.
Cheryl
Cheryl's saying right now, she's like, what tape? And it's like, well, I think we probably didn't explain that the reason why he wanted this vase. I don't even know if we explained that BD Wong wanted the vase.
We
did. Is how confusing this all.
BD Wong wanted the vase.
Okay, is that there was a tape in the vase.
That was going back to that whole proverb of look inside the pot.
Don't ask questions about this.
Inside the vase.
Yeah, because why was the tape in the vase? Why was it stuck to the vase? I mean, you could easily sell a vase and not sell the tape that was inside of the vase. And it seems like a very solvable problem to me.
Yeah, and the tape is recorded conversations of BD Wong with other police officers explaining how they are on the tape and they murder people.
Yeah.
Like, why did BD Wong record that? Like, why do I thought I am not a master criminal, but I kind of thought that like mafia people frown on recording their conversations about murder. I don't know.
Somebody surreptitiously recorded BD Wong talking about his crimes and then proceeded to take the tape and put it in a vase that BD Wong owns.
Yes.
And it was stuck there forever so that when you sell the vase, the people also got the tape. That's what happened in this film.
Yes. So at this point, it's now like who's going to, and then the cops show up. Now, when he was playing the tape, the surveillance cops listened to it playing out loud and they heard, oh my God, all of these police detectives are on the take. That's important. And so now you have this, like everybody's pointing guns at each other in BD Wong's mansion. And, you know, and everybody's pointing guns at each other, and BD Wong's like, kill all of them, kill him, kill him, kill the girl too. One of them's bound to be McHugh, because nobody really knows who's the real McHugh, whatever. And then the cops are like, you know, no, whatever, I'm gonna kill you. And then BD Wong has the line that I do like, and this is a line that I remember from when I was a kid. Like, I've seen this movie more than once, and I have no memory of watching it. But he says, you know, you don't kill me. You kill for me. Kill him. Kill her. Kill him. And when you're done, kill yourself. It's a great line. And if it isn't a great line, it seems like it is. BD Wong really nails it. So, and then, is there a shootout? What the hell happens here?
No,
the
detective shoots one guy, and no one else pulls their triggers. I think is what happens.
Okay.
Yes, Cheryl called it. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
the cop was on the take. Yes, and was shot. And was shot by BD Wong's henchman, technically, according to forensics. So yes, Ethan Hawke did not kill anybody.
I still think Ethan Hawke's going to hell. But anyway, and he should go to jail. But anyway, they run. There's a gun out. There's a little bit of a gunfight, and then the surveillance officers show up outside of the mansion and pull their guns on BD Wong and the cops and say, "We heard the tape. We know everything." I don't know. Like, can beat officers just do that?
What?
Like, they just heard the tape. They knew these guys are on the tape. Can they just go and arrest their fellow officers? Like,
yeah.
Without... Okay. All right. Good.
I think so, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I guess they can. Probable cause, sure.
All right. So now
I'm not a lawyer.
and the cops and the crooked cops, they're all under arrest. And then you have your scene now with Ethan Hawke, Terry Polo, and Craig. And Ethan Hawke is like, he's just mad at, like, Craig's like, well, good job, guys. This was a fun night. And then Ethan Hawke decks him and lets it all out. He's like, I've always looked up to you. You were my hero, and you're a lie. I thought you were a lawyer, and you're a sociopathic criminal. And then Craig says, oh, we're splitting hairs here. Ha, ha, ha.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know what? I've been trying to be you all night. He's like, yeah, you did a terrible job. You were supposed to be my alibi, and you screwed that up. Okay. So, all right. So that's why Craig was helping his brother, to set him up as an alibi, give him his wallet and his ID and dress him like him. so we could have this whole thing. But like, then why didn't he want to give him the DeSoto?
Because there were bodies in the trunk.
In the movie.
Because the body was in the trunk.
Okay.
See, they thought that part out. That's the most. That's as far as they got.
Because if he's setting up Tom as his alibi, then
like you would give him the car too, and then pin the bodies on him.
Yeah. So anyway, it's this emotional scene, and Terry Polo and Ethan Hawke are walking to his real car and by the way, he's ripping off his suit that Tom bought him, and he's only wearing the white T-shirt with the like blood Asian symbols on the back of it. And here's where I go with this, guys. Like suddenly, when he tears away everything, all that's left is super hunky Ethan Hawke, like Dreamboat, probably in Calvin Klein commercials.
Yeah,
Ethan Hawke. Like
can't get a girl.
Hiding under
all awkward.
Yeah. So and then Tom says this line, and I do remember this from what he said. He's like, you know what, guys, this is the best night of your life. You're gonna get married, you're gonna have kids, and in 40 years, you're gonna be thinking about what was the most exciting night of your life, and it was this. It was this date. I actually liked the line. I thought it was clever in a movie with almost nothing clever. And so they're like, whatever. They get in the car, they drive away.
Well, it's also funny because like Tom punched Craig, but then they kind of got over it quickly, and he's like, "Oh, you with your dead bodies and your Chinese mafia,
I mean, they kind of patch it up pretty quickly, but they're leaving, and then you have Craig who calls out after him, "Tom, don't tell mom and dad." Oh, wacky. So then they go home, and then you cut to Craig. He steals Fisher Stevens' flower truck, and he's driving away. And then Fisher Stevens pops out of the back and goes, "I want my tip." Very reminiscent of the "I want my $2" refrain from Better Off Dead, a much better comedy of errors romantic comedy. So, and then Craig, because he's horrible, goes, "Sure thing, Dwight," and slams on the brakes and lets Fisher Stevens crash through the windshield. Craig is a murderer, everybody. So here you go. And so then Ethan Hawke brings Terry Polo back home, walks her to the door. She says goodnight and kisses him on the cheek and closes the door. And Ethan Hawke starts wandering away, and then he stops. He goes back. He knocks on the door. She opens the door, and he says, "All right, Terry Polo, before I can say goodnight, I have a few questions for you." He's mimicking the opening scene, and then music plays. She realizes how charming and witty that is, grabs him, they make out, close the door, and go upstairs to have sex. So
because that's not cool about this movie. It is so predictable.
Yeah,
you
and
know that they're going to hook up at the end.
What's that, Ray?
Maybe just got to second base. Don't assume.
They pan up to her bedroom right there, everybody. And I'm saying that is the theme of this film. If you want to have sex with Terry Polo, you should lie to her, steal her trash, spy on her, and stalk her. Apparently, that's totally fine. And that's how this movie ends. And then you get the obligatory credit scene where you see the destroyed McHugh house, and the answering machine picks up, and his parents go, "Guess what? Shoofy won the Connecticut Dog Show. Hope you're having a good time. We'll be back on Monday." And the house is falling apart. End of mystery date. You have all lived through it the way we have. And I don't hate the movie. I don't. I like the people in it, as Cheryl has noted.
Cheryl likes the people in it.
Yeah. This is the BD Wong fan club. I'm really glad he got work and he got a fun part. The secondary characters, as Jason said, are far more interesting than the normal ones. But I like Ethan Hawke and I love Terry Polo. But this movie is so lazy. Jules, you nailed it on the head. It is so lazy. If you're going to put a movie like this together, it is all about plot. It's all about the sequences. It's about making it work. It should feel effortless. And it is just you can't enjoy it. It is just lazy. I'm going to stop talking. We've gone through the movie. John, you hate this movie. You hate it.
I hate it like I hate anything else that's just irrelevant. There is just no point in this. It's like it's not as much of a money grab as like Superman, but it's just kind of let's put this thing together with teenagers and write a shitty thing and have nobody really be into making a good piece of cinema and throw it out there, and then we'll be on to the next one. It was just a waste of my time. I mean, it was not anything. It was not.
This director I looked up. He's actually made a worse movie.
What movie is that?
He made a movie called. Give me 1 second.
Well, don't say it because then we're going to know what Jules.
No. I want to hear it. While Jason's looking that up,
we already know.
While Jason's looking that up, Jules.
Yes.
What did you think of effing Mystery Date? And by the way, I would pay money right now to find out that this literally was the product placement movie for the game, for the board. I would love
that would make this make some sense. In which case, they would have done an exceptional job of adapting.
I found it.
I bet playing that game is more entertaining than this movie.
Jason,
so
you got.
So there's some movie with Steve Buscemi called Ed and His Dead Mother, where his mother's reanimated.
Like Weekend at Bernie's, or like
I guess so. I don't really know.
Like Reanimator.
The director up and was like, "Really?
Like
You
Frankenstein?"
did a movie with Buscemi about a dead mother? Like what?
It's probably a documentary because I can see Steve Buscemi like actually reanimating his mother. But
So we'll see if we watch Ed and His Dead Mother at some point. Jules, what are your thoughts?
sure, I would watch that. That's good.
I mean, it's lazy. I just want to point out, like in terms of like tying up plot things. This comes out 3 years after Die Hard. I want to point out Die Hard, in which every single piece of that damn thing connects to another piece of the movie and makes it work. And this is just a pile of crap they threw on the floor. With the exception of maybe the car. I guess they made the car make sense. It had a big enough trunk. It was constantly rolling. That was important a couple times. They nailed that. That was about it. So that's all I have to say about that.
I still say it was the wrong car to do. But like Ray?
I think it was beautifully filmed.
Beautifully filmed.
Yeah, there's some really
the cinematography was good. Yeah,
the cinematography, the angles are very nice.
So it wasn't so for $10 million, they got like a professional crew.
Terry Polo starts off as a very strong woman, and she just kind of like slowly settles for Ethan Hawke and his lies. Maybe she's got some daddy issues. I can relate. Terry Polo, I'm really sorry.
Let me bring up one other thing. This is something I thought about. I think they could have made the movie work better if Terry Polo had been in on it earlier. I looked at the screen at the time, and it's an hour into the movie in which he realizes something crazy is going on.
Yeah, like he's eventually honest with her, but like it's like she seems like a smart girl, and I mean she's like obviously like.
I'm just saying from like a just simple. You've got a co-star of the movie who doesn't know what the movie is until an hour into it, and that's difficult to pull off, no matter what he is. You know what I mean? She's just
like playing it cool with Ethan Hawke, but at the same time, like as a teenage girl, if a boy admitted to reading the same book that I had just read, I might like overlook some things too.
It works.
That's all it takes, really.
It works.
Like, oh my god,
the same book as you.
Book I read? Whatever, Ethan Hawke. Like that's hot.
Oh my god, I'm remembering this time. I was there was this time I was leaving like some sort of event with I'd gone to an event with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and we were leaving, and somehow it happened where she had to drive home with her friend, and I had to drive home with his girlfriend. Like we were all going to the same place, and I'm talking to her, and I'm like, so how did you meet so and so? I don't remember who either of these people are. How did you meet so and so? And she's like, oh, well, you see, I met him because I met him at
Because he went through my trash.
no, no. It gets better, I'm sure that like they met at some like gaming event or something, and she said we were talking, and I found out that we both read the novelizations of the video game Myst. And I knew he was the one.
Oh, see, that's what I mean. It's just like
So like this is real.
it is because like
Real love, right?
books teach empathy, and like if you're like, it kind of shows you're on the same wavelength as this other person.
You think you
And
can
Ethan
teach
Hawke
empathy?
Totally lied to this woman.
You think you can teach empathy? Like if,
It's a whole. Okay, John, that's a whole other episode. It's like
can you teach like
nurture.
no? Answer right now. Do you think you can teach Jeffrey Dahmer empathy? Right now, yes or no?
Right.
Sociopath. No.
This got
Alright.
hard real quick.
Yeah.
But Jules and
John.
I just want to talk about anything other than this movie. Like really, talk
Yeah.
about my painful childhood.
So like I'm telling you, if a guy read the same book as me and was like, like he's instantly like more. He goes up quite a few points in my book.
Hey Ray.
Yeah.
Watching the show the other day was Vampire Diaries. do you
I
watch
know,
it?
yeah.
Do you happen to
I
watch
know.
that show?
Hey, Hey, Ray, I was listening to this dark music the other day. Did you ever listen to dark music?
Shut up.
Hey,
Did you ever hear this
Like
band called
War.
the? Did you ever hear this band called The Cure?
John, don't be an amateur. Ray, so I was listening to this band. Have you ever heard of them? They're called VNV Nation.
Actually, I went free tickets to their show in New York City as a teenager.
I
There
think
you
I
go.
saw the Bajas open for them.
Oh man, we're just competing now.
No, it'd be the other way around, amateur.
You know, my son listens to Susie and the Banshees on the regular.
Oh my gosh, are you
That is,
serious?
that's
Of course.
a true fact. That's a true
Is it
fact.
from me
Anyway,
Have you got-
babysitting him or?
In any case, guys,
Did you ever son tested for goth?
He was friends with a dead squirrel for a while. So
Early
a little-
detection is key.
a little bit goth.
we're waiting for.
You want
the
to catch
results
it early.
on that. Gotta catch it.
You want to catch it early.
intervention-
Right.
Early intervention on goth is key. But,
Otherwise, you end up with me.
guys, back to this.
It's treatable these days.
Jules and Ray, I totally agree with you because I feel that Terry Polo is wasted throughout this entire movie, and the only times she gets really interesting is when she starts figuring it out. And oddly enough, when she starts figuring it out, she wants to be in on it. Like and that scene at Craig's apartment, she's like, okay, well, what's going on? She's putting pieces together, and Ethan Hawke is just shutting her down. Like this would have been a Scooby-Doo mystery right there, and she would have been part of it. And I agree, it would have been a much more interesting movie if Terry Polo had been in on everything earlier.
She does kind of like start like leading him to the conclusion once he fills her in on it.
Yeah. So that's Mystery Date, everybody.
Mr. Date.
Jason, did we really? You brought this.
Yep.
So what else? And do you have any? You give us the final thought on Mystery Date.
Just one of those movies that just was. It popped up in my head for this podcast because I had seen it over and over again when I was young because they had replayed that movie on. I grew up with every movie station and every movie channel, like we had the gold package or whatever. So it's like that was one of the movies that was on over and over and over and over again. And I just thought it would be good for this because it was like it fit.
Well, so John, guess what? We don't need to talk about Mystery Date anymore, but we do need to talk about a new movie. So Ray,
Yes.
you're up next. What's on deck? What are we watching this week? We got 750,000 listeners who are going to queue up and watch what's
And
coming up.
3% of them are in Japan.
Our international.
I'm looking for a stronger female hero.
You're not gonna find it on this movie.
I'm going for Cherry 2000. I mean, she's only slightly.
Oh, Ray. All right. You heard it from my fearless co-host, compatriot Ray. This
Oh,
week we are
Jesus
going to be
Christ.
watching Cherry.
Is that what that redhead?
It's Melanie Griffith
Oh,
as a
shit.
redhead, and she's amazing.
Cherry 2000. Everybody, cue it up.
It's an 80s
Find
movie.
it.
Yes, she steals the show. She's amazing.
All right. Everybody, I'm Ian Alley Seals, host of A Dangerous Podcast, which is what you've been listening to. I am here with John, Jules, Ray, and Jason. I'm going to say goodnight. Everybody, say goodnight to our legion of fans.
Good
Not
night.
everybody at once.
Good night.
Night.
Have a good night.
Konnichiwa.
everybody. So racist. From rollerball to here, it's just nonstop Asian racist.
I'm trying to. You guys. I'm just trying to reach our fan base.
John, are we ending this thing? What are we?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Unless anyone wants to apologize to me, like nobody has done like the past week, that would be a good time. Anyone wants to say they're sorry for hurting my feelings.
Yeah, whatever, Neil Breen.
All right, get ready for 8 hours of the Bible. You fucking brought it on yourself, asshole. Walk us through that.
I've seen it more than once. I could do it right now if you wanted.
We're having another 3 hours of podcast to go tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There was just, yes.
I don't know. If I take
Ian
you
does
out,
the Bible from memory.
I know.
Love you guys.
Ian Ali seals the Bible. Maybe that's what we should make as a film, the Bible.
Cue it up, everybody.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Night.